On this episode, I talk wearable technology. This is EdTech episode number 10, Apple Watch. Stick around. What's up, guys? I'm Mike, and this is EdTech Library. Super excited to be back for episode number 10. Yay! I forgot to bring a hat, some sunglasses or something to celebrate, but it's been about 2.5 weeks since the previous episode came out. This one, for number 10, I want to do something a little bit different, which is why I'm focusing on wearable technology. So it's a little bit more cutting edge than some of the stuff that you may have seen in previous episodes. In this case, I'm only looking at one particular segment, that is the Apple Watch. Which I've had now for about 3 months, and I really enjoy it. I think it's a really neat tool to have available to me, and so I want to talk in this episode about the possibilities, more so than anything else, of wearable technology in the classroom. And this won't cover every single thing you need to know about the Apple Watch or how your students might be using it in the class already, but it will talk about some of the possible implications, advantages, and disadvantages for wearable technology in education. So let's head to look in and see what the Apple Watch has to offer. So before we get started, I just wanted to show you the Apple Watch outside, or the exterior of it itself. So here we have, as you can see, the band, and then down here we have the other side of the band. This is an elastic or a rubberized plastic band. Holds up very, very well so far. Same thing with the interface. I haven't gone out of my way to protect it at all, and it's still in pretty good shape. I've actually nicked the screen a couple times, and there's no major scratches. So in terms of the quality, and giving this to kids, your concern probably would be that they would, beat it up and it wouldn't last very long. But so far, so good. I mean, I haven't, like I said, gone out of my way to protect it too much, and it's holding up very, very well. So one of the things that the Apple Watch does have the ability to do, and just if we look at a couple green ones here, we have our messages and phone. The iWatch does have or the Apple Watch, I should say, does have a speaker on it. It also has a microphone, and so dictation is possible. You can send text messages, you can receive text messages, you can also make phone calls on this. Though it will get you some weird looks, it is highly functional. Now, besides being able to dictate different things and speak into this, you can actually use dictation for things like creating notes, which I believe Evernote has the ability to use that. I don't use Evernote, but a lot of people do, and that may be something that would be functional for your workflow. You could also dictate messages and bank those notes into different emails. You can turn them into even notes within like a Google Sheet or a Google Doc. Really easy for observational data. So as you're walking around the room, talking to kids, you're dictating reflections. Really great way to give some feedback. So starting from the right side here, I have a couple orange icons, and these are not that groundbreaking. In fact, I don't think anything really with the watch is that groundbreaking. It just takes some mobile functionality to a higher level. I think I'm still really waiting to see some transformative properties in wearable tech. There is one field I think it does have some pretty big implications for, which I'll get to in a bit. The two orange ones, though, going back to what I was saying, are a timer and stopwatch, and these can be used to create simple timers or stopwatches for kids to work under a time scenario. Really cool would be if we could see an application that would push timers out to kids so that they could actually get specific times that we want to send out and when we want to. I'm not going to run this one now, but Meister Task is a taskmaster basically. It's going to allow you to organize activities and within those activities manage different tasks. So this is a neat feature that if you use it in your workflow, it can now go to your watch. I'm not going to run the app. Unfortunately, it does crash a lot, and partially because it might be filming on my phone, which is part of the problem here. But it is useful for sure as an application on a computer or also on your smartphone. Workflow is actually a neat app, and I don't know that it has much in terms of educational implications. It actually is built on sort of similar principles that block programming is. And so what happens is you get to select from a bunch of different features or functions that you want your phone to perform or your watch to perform. on your phone using Bluetooth, and you can actually create automated situations. So here I have some different automated situations. If I click on any one of these buttons, it's automatically going to run a certain process. And so kids can learn some basic block programming principles by using workflow and creating automation on their smart devices. Of course, you get email, which I think is a really great thing, especially getting as many emails as I do. It's nice to be able to receive them to my watch, not have to look at my phone and determine whether or not I need to get to that email immediately. So that's kind of a neat feature. And here's where I think where the game changer is, in particular a niche field of health and PE. This running person and also this little target are going to be two features that could potentially be really huge in the field of health and PE. Some schools are actually using fitness trackers, which is that's what these applications are doing. They're tracking movement, and so the running person is going to track specific exercises, and the lower one's going to track daily movement. So the red one's going to be your total calories that you're burning off through your movement or your standing. Green is going to be your exercise, and blue is standing. And so some schools are using smart devices or wearable tech to track fitness and movement. And in fact, I do know some colleges are gamifying that practice and giving kids Fitbits in order to endorse being fit and being healthy. So it's kind of neat. So health and PE, I think there's some big ramifications there. This one here is actually the Keynote application, turns my watch into a remote. Elevate and also flip cards are going to be more on the rote memorization spectrum, but it allows you to take your learning to a little bit more mobile place. So again, there's nothing really groundbreaking at this point in terms of applications available for your smart watch, but it's something that it could potentially have some implications down the line if the prices are driven down, and also if we start to see some more applications where we have some management options from a teacher end. In terms of right now, though, what we're seeing is really neat tool for highly customizing your day-to-day workflow, and especially for myself, it's been really, really helpful. If you're dealing with a lot of emails, if you're dealing with a lot of phone calls or messages, having this smartwatch is a great way to go, and I would highly recommend it. So in order to close this episode, I'm going to wrap up my final thoughts. So now that you've seen some of the unique features that the Apple Watch has to offer, I wanted to close with a few thoughts on how this could impact education, like I said, more in a futuristic way, but also talk about some of those disadvantages that may inhibit that impact. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about is some of those advantages. And with the Apple Watch, you get a unique set of haptics that you can use. Now, haptics are basically like if you set your phone to vibrate, your phone will vibrate if you get a text message, a phone call, and you can make unique vibrations, which will allow you to know exactly what kind of response or what kind of notification you're getting. So the same can be done with the watch to some degree. And you could imagine how if every student was wearing, some sort of smart watch, that as soon as they were off task, you could send them a quick haptic, and it would remind them or buzz them to basically get back on task or maybe to come see you. And you could set up that as a response system within your class. Some of the applications could be potentially useful. I think response systems are probably the most logical way. So maybe your students are viewing a presentation, a movie of some sort, and they're asked to respond. They can use their watches to do that. Now, those response systems are already in place for some things. In the past, I've used Keynote. You can control Keynote using your Apple Watch if it's connected to your phone, which is a pretty neat tool. Schedules and also alarms. If you're able to push out schedules to students and they're able to view those on their watches, it could give them a buzz when their homework's due or if they have to turn something in. And they can customize a lot of those things to meet their needs. Fitness and health tracking. This is a very specific segment, but I think one of the neat things about the Apple Watch is it tracks all sorts of different data, and you can track all sorts of different data from how much you're walking, how much you're standing, your heart rate, how much exercise you've gotten in a particular day. You can even connect it with sleep applications to measure the quality of your sleep. So I think there's a lot to be gained in the health sector from this particular segment, wearable tech in general. Apple Watch is certainly not the only one to do that, but it would be a neat feature to have available to you as a health or a PE teacher. The last thing is that's kind of interesting, and I noticed this before, But once I started using my Apple Watch more often, I noticed that I started looking at this guy, my phone, a little bit less often. And the nice part is that I don't need to have my phone out to see what kind of notifications I'm getting. If someone calls me or texts me, I can take those directly onto my watch. I can even dictate them if I have to. And so that's kind of a neat thing, because now I'm not engaging with my phone. We see kids sometimes even at public events, and they're like zombies staring into the phone. And even at times I'll catch myself doing that. But one of the things that this does, it allows me to still be in touch with what's happening on my phone, but at the same time engaging with my larger environment. It's not pulling me in so much. It's just kind of there, and I can use it only when I need it, which is an interesting thing to think about. There are some disadvantages, though, things that I think are pretty big roadblocks at this time that are going to stop this from happening anytime soon. You will see the occasional kid or two with it in class. I've seen a few kids with Apple Watches, with Pebble, which is another smartwatch. But the first thing I think that's a big thing is that it has to be, in order to use some of the features, it has to be connected to your phone. It operates via Bluetooth, and so without a phone, at the present time, you wouldn't be able to operate your watch. Now, you could sync it with your computer if it's Bluetooth compatible, so that is a possible avenue in the future that they could explore. As computers become more mainstream in schools, maybe kids are able to connect into that. The versatility, there are applications out there that allow you to do certain things, which you've seen some of them, but I think they're really lacking that cutting edge that is making that, and I come back to this all the time, is how is this improving your current instructional practice? And I don't know that there's a lot of tools out there that can. It'd be more at unless you're talking health and PE, it's more of like a environmental kind of thing. It's more of a classroom management type thing than anything else. And there aren't necessarily ways that it's going to cut out what you're currently doing and do it a lot better. The last thing is probably the biggest prohibitor, and that is cost. Cost for Apple Watches is fairly high at present. I believe the Apple Watch retails starting at about like $330 or something like that. So it is rather expensive, and something that probably most schools, most students aren't going to want to have to fork out for at this time. Now, as technology and the Internet of Things grows, maybe that will drive the cost down, and we'll probably see that relatively soon as more competitors enter the market. I know Samsung has already pushed out the second version of their watch that's already been out a few months, and so you probably will see those prices drop over the time being. And so that's going to be it for this episode of Edtech Library. Again, I want to give a special shout out to my subscribers. There's not a lot of them, but thank you guys for subscribing. If you guys enjoyed the episode, please make sure you join them and smash that subscribe button as quick as you can, so that way you catch all the latest in the EdTech world. Next week we got coming up a few new episodes, hopefully, and when I say a few, it's going to be sort of a mix. A couple new episodes in the works on different applications, and then we also have a whole new segment that I'm working on called Quick Tips, and those are going to be much shorter videos that are directed towards one particular option or app or add-on or extension or whatever. Hopefully less than 5 minutes, I can show you how to use that and how you can incorporate it into your instruction. So that'll be coming out next week too as well. Don't forget to check down in the description. You'll find my social pages, as well as I'll throw in there some links to wearable tech and also education. Feel free to check those out as you need to. Again, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, please, and also click like if you really enjoyed the episode. Again, I'm Mike, and this is EdTech Library. Thanks for watching.